This is KTB, and you're listening to Uncorked with Kit. And guess what? I don't give a about that mother. And you know what? He's a jabroni.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Victoria's Cuppy Cup Cottage. Take $5 off your first purchase of handmade stainless steel and acrylic tumblers by using the discount code UNCORKED. And that's at etsy.com/Victoria's Cuppy Cups. A link listed in the description of this episode. Welcome everybody to the 5th edition of Uncorked with Kit. Today is Wednesday, January 13th, 2021. My guest today, you might know from the UFC, the 8th season of The Ultimate Fighter, or you might know him as the leader of Team Filthy, Tom Lawlor. Here he is. What's up, Tom?
What's going on, man? All 7 viewers watching.
Dude, it's going to get packed. There's going to be like 11 or 12 by the end of it, you know? It's all about Spotify. You know, that's what this is for.
Is it really Spotify?
Oh, yeah, man. I record it on here, you know, so I don't have to, like, set up some, you know, I have no idea. I'm not this tech-savvy person, all right? I'm just trying this as a hobby on Wednesdays. This is my thing where, like, instead of drinking alone, I can just call up somebody.
But is there a way for me to promote this right now? I have no clue. It's
actually it's on your Instagram. So like when you're live on your Instagram,
which I never did.
Yeah. So now I get double the viewership. See, I'm slick.
I've added no one. So.
Oh, you don't need to, dude. It's on your thing. It's fine. So
which way does
I think you have to put it that way.
all right.
So with my show, Uncorked with Kit, what I do is I go to my local wine and spirit and I pick up a wine that I just think fits who I'm interviewing. So I couldn't find shit. And I picked this lame ass one.
Get shit?
I couldn't find anything.
No, you said you couldn't find shit.
Basically, I got an empty bottle, and then I spit in it, and then I brought it in, and then... No, so what I got was this wine called Beast, all right?
Yeah.
They recommended it there, and then I kind of thought to myself, man, that's really lame. Like, what am I going to talk about? Like, oh, he transitioned from UFC to pro wrestling, you know, he's just conquered everything. I just thought that was lame. So actually, I thought I went a little different, and then I just bought sake.
All right. So I like the plum sake.
The plum sake?
Yeah.
Actually, I would have loved that. This one's this cucumber one, Junmai sake. And then I thought, oh, well, you know what? I read that you're with, what is it, New Japan.
Wow.
So I'm like, hey, that fits. Look at that.
What a great piece of journalism there.
Oh, dude, I did all my research.
What about this? I got some Prosecco right here.
Dude, I love it.
That's
exactly what it is. But yeah, I just figured I'd switch it up and do the sake thing, you know.
Well, I figured you'd have like a Pinot Noir. That's kind of like my favorite, but.
I like Pinot Noir. This one, well, the one that's Beast is it's a Cabernet. That's my usual go-to, but you know, I'm sure I'll get to it. You know, so I have questions, wrestling related, non-wrestling related, from all these great fans. I think we wanted to start it off real hot. The one question I had for you that I couldn't wait to.
Kid,
what?
Can I get a drink?
Yeah, why did you have it already?
No, I was waiting to see what you had. I thought we were gonna have a wine together, but you threw me way off with the sake.
All right. Well, you know what? We can just go right back into it. and then I'll open up this wine. Do you have your wine?
What is that? The Beast? What do you got?
This is the Beast. This is the red. This is red wine, but when you look up, it's more of a Cabernet.
Okay. Is it a red blend?
Yeah. I don't normally do them, but
Blend for
So I guess while I'm waiting for him, Mr. Unprepared, this broadcast is brought to you by Victoria's Cuppy Cup Cottage, and if you on Etsy /Victoria Cuppy Cup, and you use the promo code Uncorked, you'll get $5 off your first order. I have the link that is on my Spotify, and it's on my page when this gets posted on my full Instagram. So definitely check it out. Custom cups, they're pretty boss. Oh, absolutely. I think he's having like a hard time just trying to open it.
All right.
Welcome.
I got the one that would best symbolize you.
Oh,
Kid.
Jesus.
When I think of all of the members, and there's been a lot of Team Filthy, there's only one who can lay claim to being the GOAT. And it's you, buddy.
Oh, dude, man. Thanks, brother. Yo, I have to, when I got the text about MLW, all I got told was, hey, yeah, would you be free this date and then to be in New York? And it was like less than a week away. And they're like, yeah, so we kind of need you to be a Von Erich. And I'm like, a Von Erich? Like, first of all, I mean, I never really watched them. And I'm like, well, which one am I going to be? And I've also never worn trunks ever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my God, I need to get a spray tan. I need to start doing legs. And I need to start lying to myself that I can pull this off. And then when they said it was against you, the first memory that comes to my head of you, because we didn't meet yet, was I remember watching you at my friend's place on his birthday, and he bought UFC 100.
Yeah.
And I remember you, and I just because I rewatched that one pay-per-view, like the only one I ever did.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay. I actually have. Hold on. I got it right here. Look at this right here. Section 109, row C, seat 13. Price on the ticket, $500.
Good Lord.
The what is it? Commemorative ticket from one of my friends. So cool to have. Dude,
I mean, what was it when you first got opportunities like that in this giant ass crowd, and this shit's it's real, man. You get knocked out and your life is over in like 2 seconds. You're just a living botch. What goes through your head like when you're, you're training for it. I know all that, but then when you get to the arena and then you hear that shit and your music plays,
I don't know.
Zone out, tunnel vision.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I remember. I've wrestled, did amateur wrestling, so it's kind of just like a continuation of that. I'm wondering why Matthew Gregg hasn't gotten into some MMA botchamania yet. There's plenty of stuff that should be brought to light that hasn't been in that avenue.
Oh, dude, like the amount of I could watch I could watch in on hour upon hour just knockouts left in whether it's UFC, boxing, hockey, like any of that. It's just, dude, you zone everything else out.
Street beefs?
What's that?
You watch Street Beefs?
No, what is that?
Dude, it's like YouTube fights. It's like an evolution of, Kimbo in the backyard.
Oh my God. I'm gonna need
I think they have like title belts and stuff too.
Really?
Oh yeah.
It's just like backyard wrestling, you know. Except they're probably just not made out of cardboard, you know. Jeez. So one of these questions I had to ask first because I wanted to get into a couple of different things, but the one question, all right. Well, one was, what's your favorite submission? Since we were already on UFC or MMA, what is your favorite submission?
Yeah, is this like in my career, or you mean
No, like I mean, I guess one that you either
in MMA or wrestling?
Yeah. No, MMA.
Um.
Oh, fuck it. Why not both?
Well, I mean, like
Could be the same.
So, obviously, it's a lot tougher to get like super, cool submissions. Some of the hottest ones that people remember are Rio Chone, like a flying leg scissors to Anderson Silva, and then did a heel hook off that. Or back in the late '90s, if you remember in Virtual Pro Wrestling, or that series of games, Rumina Sato. They had the flying armbar, the 6-second magic, I think it was called, where he did like a flying armbar still on the guy's arm in the air as he got the tap. So that's always been a super cool one as well. Man, I've seen some really weird shit in fights. So there's been people like a Boston Crabbed. There's always like weird stuff that goes on, and like as more fights happen, there's more weird stuff that goes on. But I probably have to say, I saw this guy, right, in the amateur fight. One guy was mounted on top of the other guy throwing punches. And this guy that was on bottom, and he's getting beat up, he reaches up and he wraps his legs around the guy's like torso, right? And then pulled him back, but held onto his legs. So he like stretched him. It was like an inverted Boston Crab and got the submission.
Holy shit.
And I've never seen that before.
I feel like is that something, was that like something that he, I'm trying to visualize it. Would that be something he actually trained to do, or he just fucking, momentum happened and then this happened. He just thought on his feet.
I almost quit when I saw it because I was like, what the fuck is the point of even like training anymore? What's the point? If you could just do this to a willing participant, an unwilling participant, like what's the point in training real moves? This guy was like, I don't think it should have worked. I think the guy that it worked against was a complete putz. That's really the issue. But hey, I've never seen it before and I'd like to see it again. So,
jeez. Do you ever, are you,
there's a guy that got put in a giant swing and then ankle locked out of it. Genki Sudo did that in Pancrase. So, that's one of the coolest ones ever,
I know that one that you're talking about. I actually remember seeing that, like, probably not too long ago. But
yeah, I just remember
some of them are, like, you're not going to see them again. You're going to see them attempted, but you're not going to, like, ever see it again. In your fights, let's say, you ever, anything that you've ever done like that, or like just got experimental, like you're fighting some scrub, or at least you think, and then
I did all
some shit out. Huh?
I did all my experimenting in college. I got it out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm like way too conservative as a fighter. You know what I mean? It's like very basic. Like, I'm going to stand in the pocket. I'm going to try to throw punches really hard. If that doesn't work, I'll probably try to fall on you or something. You know what I mean? It's like, I have no imagination. I'm not very athletic, really. I just have like a thick skull. So, hey, whatever.
Are you fighting again? That I did read. I read something about that. I'm like, get the fuck out.
PFL season starts April 23rd, April 29th, or I guess April 23rd, April 30th, or May 6th. I'll fight. So
nice.
This I won't be drinking this much longer.
Well, hell yeah, man. Well, here's to that. One of the other questions here is this is my favorite because, of course, everything is against me, so I had to pick like the good ones. The one was, would you do a death match versus Kit and make him bleed real bad? I think that's like the most tame.
No way in hell. There's no way. I'm not a deathmatch guy. I want nothing to do with that.
Dude,
Like
you would love it.
it is the most insane shit. I don't understand what goes through people's minds who do death matches. I understand the people, like, adrenaline is a real thing. I get that. But the people who enjoy just watching it, that's a whole nother level of sickness that I can't even associate with. So I want nothing to do with the deathmatch scene. I'm sorry. That's all you. That's all. And no way. No way.
When you bring up like that, when like people watch it, I mean, I guess I'm one of them, but I have to say, like, as I've watched it over the years, like, since I was like, I think when I first saw it, I was 14. It got so much more intense now, where like all fans want to do is see like not like something crazy or whatever, some cool spot. Like they want to see somebody fucking bleed to death. Like that's what the level it's got to now. And you're just like, geez, man. That's why I have this such hatred, for what I call bloggers. And it's like, oh man, your opinion, like they could see the same spot. They'll see, the same spot they saw maybe like in something like 2004. And then they'll bring that up and go, oh, see? They go, dude, that was still fucking nuts. This guy just fell from here, and then he went through that, and then his safety was the barbed wire. Like, So
what's wild is like the original introduction I would have had to Japanese wrestling was Stranglemania, right? Which is like just pure. I mean, it's comedy, but it's deathmatch wrestling, right? And I loved it. I absolutely loved it, but I guess just as I got deeper into it, and like, I'm one of the people, I'm the type of person that like, that I'm all or nothing kind of. So the style of wrestling that I do is going to be the style of wrestling that I enjoy watching, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Yeah. I delve into it. So I'm not going to I don't watch high flying wrestling because I can't do this stuff. I can't associate with it, and it's kind of like the same thing with death matches. With me, it's like, man, I don't know. You guys are fucking crazy.
Even like you said with like the high flying, like I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, I think it's neat. Like I can't do any of it, and I'm built like as one of those dudes that like should be. So I every once in a while I have to do something, but I fucking hate heights. I hate them, and I've like fallen off of shit where I just go, this is it. This is the last time I'm ever gonna move. And I just have to accept it. And then here I go. And then I go, all right, well, I guess I'll do that again. Or I'll do it again sometime. That's literally how it works.
I'm much more likely to do that sort of thing than, going to barbed wire or stuff like that. Gusset.
What is one of the questions was, what's the thing that you hate the most? He said when calling a match, but I want to like also ask you, what's the thing you hate the most about like wrestling? Because I think there's a lot of little shit that we deal with. Like it could be politics in the back, but anything specific. And then when calling a match, like for example, like I hate calling every single move. Like it just drives me insane.
I'll answer the first one first. First things first. The thing I hate the most is the travel. And it's like, it's not that I hate going in a car for a couple hours. It's like, I hate going in a car for a few hours and then flying somewhere and then getting delayed and then flying somewhere else. And then you get delayed again because it's the winter. So of course if you're flying or driving somewhere, you're going to be stuck forever. So you're going to end up spending a bunch of money on food. And, it just becomes like, because of wear, and there's a lot of like wear and tear on your body sitting in the car. It's just shit like that, because after a little bit of time it starts to add up, and that's like that's stuff that becomes hard to reverse. That's stuff that's going to hurt you later on. Your posture worse, all the injuries are amplified, shit like that. So that's the thing that bothers me the most, as far as, I mean, out of all the things in wrestling. Luckily I haven't had to deal too much with like backstage politics. At least not face. So, you know what I mean? It's like, by far the worst thing I have to deal with is the travel. Most of the promoters I deal with have been great. There's been a very small handful that I would have bad things to say about, but for the most part, everybody's super cool in India now, especially compared to when I did it in like 2005, 2006. It wasn't, it just wasn't the same, like the scene as vibrant. Obviously it sucks right now, but
but
it's a completely different time period in life. You know what I mean? 15 years ago on the independent scene, it was shit. You couldn't be an independent wrestler and make any sort of living. You know what I mean? It just wasn't possible. And now there's people who can do it as a full-time job. There's people who can do it as a part-time job, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's nothing to bad either. You know what I mean? If you're putting money in your pocket. So, I think wrestling's awesome right now, but the travel sucks and I fucking hate it.
Dude, we're gonna have more muscle and muscle and joint issues when we get even older, just from like Frontier flights, or Delta. Like those alone are worse than anything I've ever fallen on or anything.
I can't tell you how many times I'm a terrible culprit of this, and I do not blame the promoters whatsoever, because I tell them, like, hey, if it matters, put me on Spirit, put me on Frontier. I don't care. You know what I mean? Then it becomes, hey, you're on the West Coast, which sucks because I wrestle on the East Coast a lot, so I have to take the red eye. And then when you take a red eye, a lot of times, the hotel's not ready at the time to get it, stuff like that. So, like, inevitably, it all comes back to that shitty travel situation. Is really the big bother. The fans are awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I've had a small handful of bad interactions with fans at shows, I remember back 15 years ago, I got hit with a D-cell battery making an entrance at a match, and I don't really have to worry about that happening now. So it's way better.
I mean, that sounds like you're doing great work when that happens.
I was in a bum tag team making our way out to the ring to wrestle Billy Gunn and Ron Killings, and it was like we were just gonna get squashed, and some asshole still wanted to nail us. Like, we were the lowest hanging fruit. This bully in the crowd had to pick on us anyways.
And at the time, you're probably like, dude, this is the biggest opportunity ever. Like, holy shit, Billy Gunn, R-Truth.
Well, actually, I was on my way. Like, I was pretty much done. I was like, so it was kind of like, But it sucked because there was like 2,000 people there. I wish I would have been like really into it and remembered it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, some random ass show in Cocoa Beach too. I couldn't even tell you what else was on the card. I'll have to go look after this.
Well, what made you, you were over it when, what year was that? And like, when were you just like, dude, this isn't going anywhere. Fuck that. Like, I'm just going to.
Like 2000. It's so ridiculous when I think about it. I wrestled like on the independent scene in Florida for 2005 to like 2007.
Okay.
Ish. I had a WWE tryout at Deep South when they still had that. So they brought me up for a week. Flew me up there. I went through all the practices and stuff, and then it was like the same, the same rigmarole that 9,000 people go through, where they just feed you bullshit to keep you going and try to test you to see how long you're gonna stick it out. And it was like, hey, call me on Monday, set something up, and it just I didn't buy it. Or I thought to myself, like, I could fight, and to a certain extent, you take your life in your own hands more than you do if you're wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I went to this Deep South tryout, or whatever, there's guys there that were under contract who were slacking. Fucking dragging ass in drills and cardio and everything. Worse than the biggest slackers I've seen before. And it's like disheartening when you see somebody like that, and then they're not even willing to really give you a fair shake. It's kind of like a test of your will to fuck with you for a week. And it's that's not what this is. That what wrestling's about, really? Like, I had already got to the point where I'm at a tryout for the biggest company. Do you really need to test me? You know what I mean?
No, I
like,
get it, dude. It's that lead by example, and then it's that I would look at it like there are those people that have never picked up a broom and or put a ring away, and then and they never do it, so you don't expect them to. And then when they finally, or they do it for like a minute, like just one time, then they're looked at like they're the leader here, and it's just bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that people should lead by hard work, and just doing the right thing. It's like you don't have to make an example out of somebody else. You don't have to try to bring people down or like everybody should be trying to bring each other up in wrestling. It doesn't really help anybody to just fucking bury somebody, unless they're on their way out of the company, but that's a different story.
Yeah, or if they're like a huge piece of shit. Like, I mean, but the one of the things, like, I started training in like 2008, and like at that, and me as like a small dude, I remember, it's not believable for basically anybody that's taller than me to sell, and you're just like, dude, really? Come on, man. Like a kid has punched you in the face, and I guarantee you fucking, or cried. Like, I mean, but then, where it is now, it's fair. Like it's how it should always have been.
I will say, I think that's one of the benefits of mixed martial arts being around is that you see guys like Conor McGregor. He's 175 pounds walking around. You know what I mean? But people, you're not going to see him on the street and go, that dude's not a bad motherfucker because he weighs 175. It's going to be like, holy shit, that guy can still knock me out or destroy me. And I really think that is one of the things that's, kind of helped. Like, I cannot even tell you how big of a fan I was of the WCW Cruiserweight era. Like, I wish that there were still just this sea of gigantic 250-pound dudes so that I would be a cruiserweight because I'm 205 pounds. You know what I mean? And like most, I'm like 210. It does. I don't care how big I look out there. I mean, that's what I weigh. So I'm a cruiserweight. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I absolutely loved like watching that style of wrestling because you had guys who were, they were athletic, but they were also technical, and they would also strike hard, and it was different, and like those guys, you would see Dean Malenko, right? He would go up against the heavyweight, and you wouldn't question it. You wouldn't be like, this guy's overmatched. Chris Benoit, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Like, you wouldn't go like, this guy's overmatched. And that was kind of the same time that the UFC popped up. That's kind of the same time where you would see Hoist Gracie or some of the smaller guys beat a bigger guy. So I think it was kind of like a perfect storm of that. And then really you're talking about 2008 when you started training. It wasn't, guys wouldn't sell for you then. Think about when the big boom was in MMA. I know for a fact it was like around that time. It's when Ultimate Fight was hot a couple of years before then. And trends take a little bit of time, but you can see there was a second wave of like timing where a smaller guy was kind of viewed differently and they could be, face up against a bigger guy. And now you see it all the time. So
but I mean that exactly, it all translates. Like when that perception is reality, like people see it. If they see it in MMA or on UFC, then they can go, well, it is believable for this dude to fucking sell a chop. Like, that's how it is. And that transition though, I always find funny is that transition is like, I got my ass beat, and you always, you just be like doubtful on anything. You're like, oh, okay, let's have a match where I don't get anything in. And then, and then that it changes, within a 2-3 year span. And then all the people that had to deal with it, like me, those ones that are like all bitter about it, those vets or whatever, then, and then they see that and they just hate it. And that's why life or wrestling just passes them by. And it's like, dude, that's what it should have been like the whole time.
Have you ever done like a jiu-jitsu class?
I have once, and that was it. I was like,
Was there a guy smaller than you?
No, the dude
No.
was one of my friends, and he's a giant. Like, and
Okay. Because
but anything's believable.
I've been in jiu-jitsu classes where smaller guys kick the shit out of me. Like, I've been in kickboxing classes where smaller guys beat the shit out of me. I've been in fights where a smaller guy beat me up. You know what I mean? Like, once you have it happen to you, then it becomes a lot easier to accept. And a lot of people, like the big fat guy watching football on the couch at home who never really was in a fight because he was the big fat guy and nobody wanted to, cross him.
They wrestling fans, yeah. The bloggers.
The bloggers, yeah, maybe the bloggers, but like I said, most of the wrestling fans I run into are pretty cool. So, but yeah, those guys, they haven't been exposed to a situation where they can be beat up by a smaller guy, and it happens all the time. So, yeah. I mean, I'm confident in my ability to speak on this as an expert after been in a lot of fights and stuff.
Yeah, I'm taking your word for it. I mean, dude, even like low key, that I remember. I mean, first of all, the guy's badass, but I remember him knocking the fuck out Atu at this Revolve show, and I remember that, and I was like, dude, that guy's like this. I mean, I trained with him. Atu, this guy's a giant dude, and I mean, obviously, like it doesn't matter like how bulky he looks and muscular, but it's, dude, that one kick to the head, whether accidental or not, like it didn't fucking matter. It knocked him right out, and it goes, that's, what do you say? What do you prop him back up and say it's not believable? Get back in there.
I'll tell you right now, there's been a few guys like where I've been in the match, I've been hit, and I've been like, fuck, either that one was like real bad or like I'm gonna remember that one because I barely remember it now. And one of them was Jeff Cobb, right? But I mean, Jeff Cobb's a 260-pound guy who's charging me in the corner, and I got crushed, right? But at the time, I'm like a lifeless body, and I remember he hits me. He goes, I don't know what he's like. Sorry. And I'm like, it sucks. Just throw me. And I remember, like, it's so weird. It's like my body, if I tried to fight him, I would have lost, right? But like my mind is like, okay, like, it's fine. I know, like, I just got hit in the wrong spot. It's cool. And the other one is Mike Bailey, right? Mike Bailey is like 160 pounds.
He's the shit. I miss him.
So hard. I'm pretty sure that my organs are still shaking from the kick that he gave me. And it's like, I mean, that guy is half my size. If you looked at me and him in a fight, you'd be like, this guy's going to get beat up real bad. And, like after taking that kick, I'm not so sure I could beat him in a fight.
Dude, man, it's some of those, like, when you get thrown over, you're sitting down and there's going to be a kick right to the back. And it's going to be a safe-ass kick. You can have kick pads on. It doesn't fucking matter. And then you get that kick, man, like, like your whole body is
everything vibrant.
Like instant, like, oh man, adrenaline's gone. And then, but then at the same time, it's like, dude, I love like, those matches just have like chop for chop. Like I fucking love chops. I think they wake me up in a match, like especially if we do it in the beginning. And then that adrenaline's like right there. I want to go back and forth, whether how big it is, because I just like them. I think it's just, it brings the realism in to where like mentally you're like, all right, I'm ready to take some shit, Well,
I think one thing that people don't realize, right? They badmouth chops, and maybe I'm just thinking way too much about this, but if you're in a fight, and I've been in fights and I've broken my hand, it's one of the worst things to recover from, and it's one of the worst things to have. So I highly recommend, if you're going to street fight somebody, do the old Boss Rutan style open palm, because the like chance of you breaking something are a lot less. I've broken my hand in MMA fights. I've broken my hand in street fights, and it sucks. It's debilitating. It's worse. I broke my forearm in half, and recovering from the broken hand is worse.
Christ.
You know what I mean? It's one of the worst ideas. So in a fight, there's nothing wrong with chopping somebody. Ricky Dozan beat the shit out of Kimura back in Japan, you know, in like the 50s with karate chops. He karate chopped him unconscious and became the biggest star in Japanese wrestling history. So who's going to say that the chop doesn't work? Come on.
No, man. I just mean, yeah, people hate them. I mean, they're those. I mean, and that's fine. Like, dude,
Kit, I forgot. We never answered that guy's question about my most hated thing about calling a match.
All right, yeah. What's the worst? What's the worst?
Chops.
Dude, we have another match, you know, just like that stellar, like the probably one of the roughest matches I've ever, emotionally draining matches I've ever had in my life, as Rip Von Erich versus Tom Lawlor. You know, if we have another one, dude, starting the match off chops, brother.
I love chops. If you like chops, I'm gonna put over the match I had with Eddie Kingston. Who doesn't love Eddie Kingston?
Yeah.
But he and I had a match on AIW Absolution 2 years ago, I guess now. And there's a 6-minute chop battle during the match. The match is actually 7 minutes long, but there's a 6-minute chop battle in it, and I think it's 6 minutes. That's a fucking long time now that I
felt like a long ass time.
And I think it's one of the better done ones in history, but you know, that's all subjective. I think, and oddly enough, out of all people, because you wouldn't think that me and this other guy would have like a chop and strike fest. I had a match with Mike Bennett in August, maybe September, and that was, you know, just a back and forth, like we're gonna hit each other over and over and over. And I was like, this is great. This is not what I thought this match was gonna be.
And dude, it's mindless. That's what's so great about it. You're like, it's literally all it is.
But it's not.
You're doing, you're listening to that crowd, man. Like after those first couple chops, you don't feel shit. You're now you're just listening. And then you know, I did the same type of thing with Bam Sullivan. And I was like, dude, listen, like he's bigger than me. I'm like, don't sell, but I'm gonna keep coming back because I'm stubborn. That's what I am. And you know, and you're a bigger dude. It's like we'll go back and forth, and as we keep going back and forth, just listen to the silence, and then listen to it just fucking pick up, and then you're gonna go, oh shit, this rules. Like, and then anything else afterwards is just whatever. And then, you know, you do everything, and then you go back to it. Like after, you know, 10 minutes go by of a match, and then 10 minutes goes by, and then you start it off slow and do it again, and they'll fucking lose their shit. And it's like, dude, I just love it. That's where, like, in the middle of a match, you're getting fucking goosebumps, like, as you're doing it. Like, that's what you live. That's what I think, you know, is the best part of wrestling, when you know you got it.
Yeah, well, the thing to me about wrestling that, like, appeals, I think the most is the struggle between the two people, between the two competitors. You know what I mean? And you could have a blowout, but it could still be a struggle. You know what I mean? And I think there's like watching wrestling and MMA throughout like different cultures and different countries. One of the things that Japan kind of like inherently does better is they portray the struggle, and they also focus on, you know, the comeback story. They focus on somebody redeeming themselves, and that's really not something that like gets brought up too much now in American wrestling. It's kind of all about like being a dominant champion, you know, or being somebody who's never faltered and somebody who's perfect. And that's really not what life's like. You know what I mean? And I think one of the, you know, benefits about like real wrestling is that it's easier to kind of highlight those things through fighting back and forth. You know, like you said, you could tell a lot about somebody just by the fact that they're being stubborn. You know what I mean? Like that tells you a lot about somebody's character, as opposed to them doing 13 different moves. You know, like it just doesn't, I just find it more, I don't know, it draws me
more
in.
Appealing.
Like, but there's also, I understand there's that other group of fans who want like a quicker pace. They want things not up, and that's fine too. Whatever. Don't watch.
I mean, you can't have. and that's when you have a card, then you have that variety. It's like that's what it's all about. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to do the same thing that, like, you know, Osprey's gonna do, or Jordan Oliver. Like, I can't keep up like that with that pace. Not just physically, but I mean, like, mentally, I'm like, I'm gonna think too much about. I think too much about selling because I love it. I love the selling aspect of wrestling, which is the whole, like, that comeback story, and then when you finally get it or whatever, and then
Yeah.
that's what I care, like, about more. But I think too much about that when I'm trying to keep up with somebody else at their thing, that it cancels me out.
Like, people need to realize that, everybody, like, not everybody has the same place in wrestling. And that doesn't mean that you put a ceiling on, like, what you can accomplish, but it means that you have to approach things differently. If Mike Dudley went out there and tried to wrestle like, a crazy high flyer rather than presenting himself like some dude who's out of his mind doing crazy shit, it's going to have a different effect. It's going to resonate differently, and maybe it's unbelievable because it would have been, and it would have gotten us over, and you would have seen him in main getting tossed around by guys. But a lot of people want to, they want to be what they want to be. You know what I mean? And, like, as I've gotten older, unfortunately, you kind of realize that things aren't going to be the way that you want them to be in life. And I don't say, like, accept them, but you have to accept where you are and, move forward from there. And I think a lot of wrestlers would be better off, realizing that there's times and places for doing different things at different points in your career. You know what I mean? You can have a weird, shitty gimmick at a weird time and get away with it, but that doesn't mean that you need to stick with that forever or that you can't evolve. There's going to be there's been a million instances of guys who've, failed at one thing and then gotten better and, been successful. It happens all the time.
I wish that, like, when you look back, that, man, I wish I just had that, that mindset of, dude, just do whatever is going to get over. It doesn't really matter what the fuck it is. Like, you don't need to be what you're going to end up being. Like, hey, if Vince McMahon called you right now and said, like, I want you to be an astronaut, and that's your gimmick, and you're gonna go, yeah, I'll fucking be an astronaut. I'll be the best fucking astronaut on the planet. Like, but if some promoter, that you trained with or whatever, that trained you, and then he puts you on his show, he goes, yeah, you're gonna be an astronaut. You go, no, I'm not. Like, I'm this, and then he's gonna go, well, you're not fucking booked.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it sucks because you have to be, like, I've learned it's worse for me. Like, it's one of the things I had to become accustomed to with TV wrestling is that it's not your show. You know what I mean? Somebody else is pulling the strings. It's somebody else's show. They're going to tell you to a certain extent what they want, and it's up to you to make your vision kind of fit around that. Whereas at, like, other shows, you may have more leeway. And that doesn't mean one way's right and one way's wrong. That's just the way that it is. That's the way that the business is. You know what I mean? And there's, I'm sure there's times where people get put in, like, tag teams that they don't want to be in, or, put in situations in stables that they don't want to be in, and it drags them down. But, like, the best thing you could do is outshine, everybody else that you're put in there with, if that's the situation that you're put in. What do you succumb to, a low level because you're in a spot where you don't want to be, or do you try to get out of there? You know what I mean? It's a pretty easy situation to figure out. Like, you try to get out of there and you try to get better,
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you burn bridges. That doesn't mean you screw people over. That doesn't mean that, you act like an asshole to people that you come into contact with. But you have to be cognizant of your spot in the situation. You have to be ready to accept it. And if you don't, like, you're not going to go anywhere. You know what I mean?
You have to put
I mean,
yourself in other people's shoes.
yeah,
Like
I
they see you.
I was rejected by WWE. I got kicked out of the UFC at like a terrible time for me, and I had to deal with that. And like I was in a funk for years. I felt like shit. You know what I mean?
Speaking of that, like I when I saw that you got suspended, and then not only it was a 2-year suspension, but then like only a couple months before you were it was lifted, they let you go, and I'm like wow, that's some fucked up shit right there. Like I mean I don't know if you were getting paid with that, but like I'm just like ooh man, what a fucking bitch. Like
you don't get paid. You don't get anything.
Yeah, you're suspended. Like, and then it's like they just justified it. But then they also saw, but we don't want you to go anywhere else. So, hey, you can just go fuck yourself.
So that's how I ended up wrestling, because like my management team was like, hey, can he do this to make money? So they said yes. And then one of the reasons they said they let me go was because I was a pro wrestler. Like, what? Yeah, so whatever. I mean, what the fuck are you gonna say?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, dude, there's like how you said, like there's no right or wrong with wrestling. It's pretty much how anybody, I guess, perceives it. Any worker in the business does it. Eventually, if they're gonna get over, they're gonna get over. And if they're not, they're not. Especially if you're really stubborn and you're not willing to adjust, like, dude, I got a call, and then I was Von Erich, within 4 days, and I was just like, yeah, I'll get a spray tan, I'll shave, like I'll do all that. What the fuck you want? Like,
yeah.
Like I'll make it the shit.
And I mean, you got more bookings out of it. I mean,
yeah,
kind of sucks that the whole pandemic hit, and it's like,
I know.
But
hopefully it picks back up, or
You know what I mean? If you would have went in there and had a shitty attitude, like a lot of people would have, or did, then, that's one less opportunity. And I mean, I'm not saying you go out there and like devalue yourself, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, I mean, wrestling's supposed to be, for the most part, and whether it's you're a full-time gig and you're making money, you're supposed to have fun with it, because at the end of the day, like, there's always, a cubicle job that's waiting for you, or you could just or you could get paid and then try to make the best of it, and then, and that's what it is. Like, that's why we watched it when we were kids, and that's why we never grew the fuck up.
Yeah, like I said earlier, like there's plenty of people who make like, part-time money off of indie wrestling for 10, 15, 20 years, and it's like, how many cool stories do that person's coworkers have? Like, hey, my buddy at the auto shop is a pro wrestler on the week, stuff like that. And it's like, there's a memory that, you're never going to have a chance to replicate again. You can't get it back. There's so much cool stuff that's happened I've forgotten already. And I've only been, kind of like back in the game and on the road for 4 years, and one of those has been without any wrestling for the majority of it. So,
dude, some of the best memories that we have are like the shitty ones, like that we can talk about later. Like, whether it's like a trip to Milwaukee, like at the end of the day, it's like, when am I going to go, ooh, hey, we're going to go on vacation to Milwaukee. And you're like, oh, what are we going to visit? We're going to go visit where, that serial killer murdered his first victim, like that's, and then we get to do that, and then we get paid for it, and then we get to go home and have a story about it, Like, I don't think anything beats that.
I swear to you, I went on vacation to Milwaukee one time with my, I swear to God. You told that story like I told you that. Like,
I wish you did. I wouldn't be able to keep a straight face.
It was that or Detroit, and it was Milwaukee, and they have a phenomenal science center right on the water there. That was so cool. They had some really cool organic grocery markets, and I'm talking, this was like 10, 12 years ago. So Milwaukee's a pretty cool spot. Went to the Harley Davidson Museum. Yeah.
All right. Jesus Christ. I retract my statement. Fuck. I guess I could have picked another one. I mean, I don't know where else.
Camden.
I mean, Delaware.
Camden.
We could always go to Wilmington.
Camden.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. Wait, no. Because Camden fucking rules. I've been to like concerts there at the Tweeter Center. It fucking ruled. Dude, let me tell you, you're missing out.
Like the murder capital of the U.S.
Well, not where I was. I didn't get murdered.
Are you sure? You look dead inside to me.
Yeah. Well, that's why this is eventually just going to be a podcast. So, all right, you said it at first. When you made that full-time switch from, fighting professionally at UFC to pro wrestling, and then and skip the part where it slowly got picked up, and then obviously when it gets more successful in wrestling as you go along. But when you were at let's say UFC 100 and you're there and you fucking get that win, and then you compare that to where you are now in wrestling, it's what do you want to be next? What's the comparison between the two? Is there more of a peace of mind where you are now, or what?
It's tough because wrestling is different as far as goal wise.
Yeah.
I'd say with fighting you have, or at least the way I looked at it was each fight is a short term goal. So you're not necessarily in a place of comfort at any point during your time or your career. You know what I mean? So fighting is just so much more volatile. You could sustain an injury and be under contract with the UFC and any money, where if the same thing happens under the watch of WWE or AEW or somebody, you're gonna still get a guarantee of money. So it's kind of tougher, I'd say, financially to plan and really figure out your future fighting wise, as opposed to the people who have full-time wrestling contracts. One of the benefits is you get lump sums of money, so you can make big purchases that
right.
Some people can't do. But it's tougher to be comfortable, like I said. And it's not a situation where people are really, sure, you have teammates, you have training partners, you have coaches, people are trying to help each other, but like I said, it's more hostile. You're not working with somebody in a match, you're fighting against them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which as similar as they are, trying to sell themselves as conflict or trying to sell themselves as matchups, they're completely different once you get in there. In one, you want to slow it down and show everybody what's happening so they can take it in. And in the other one, you're trying to go as fast as possible so that nobody knows what's going on and that you come out with a finish. And, it's like I said, it's a completely different mindset. One is very cutthroat. It's like being in shark-infested waters, whereas the other one is, you're in the water. There's a couple sharks, but there's still plenty of other, mammals and fish and everything else out there that are helpful and going to keep them from ruling the area. Wrestling is just I don't want to say more fun environment because they're fun in different ways, but definitely when you're at a competition or a match, it's definitely a more fun. You know what I mean?
What I mean, I was watching some of the compilation of some of your pre-match shit. You were basically cutting promos, man. You were just you were just trying to get attention on you while you had all the cameras on you. And I mean that sticks out all the time. And when you would do that, first of all, what's one of the favorite things that you did? I watched one. It looked like you were dressed up as Severn. And I thought that was awesome. But I saw some of them that you were doing, and I was like, dude, the way you would go to the fucking ring in these, why didn't this not get more attention, as you're going in there? And then once the bell rang, it's a completely different story.
One of the things, like, if you followed the history, and I mean, if you didn't, you were different ages. But when I was like 12 is when the UFC started, right? So during my teenage years, all that stuff, I followed it. And it wasn't popular. It wasn't on cable. The only way I could follow it was on the internet. So I would be on the internet, reading results. People are typing results in chat rooms as it's going on about like the UFC. That's what I was doing on like Friday nights, Saturday nights when I'm 16, 17, 18 years old. So to me, like, I was always super into it, but it wasn't like a way that you could, make any sort of living or anything until later on. But like, the only way that it even got to the point that it did was because there was a group of people willing to, like, hardcore fans. It was kind of like ECW fans in a way. It was like a group of people willing to stick it out no matter what was going on, with the hope that it's going to make it bigger one day. And with the UFC, that's what ended up happening. So like the entrances I did, the walkouts that I did, all of that stuff was kind of catering to those hardcore fans, because when I went to the UFC, there was kind of like a divide, right? That's when it started getting, kind of hot, or it was already hot at that point, like 2005, 2006, Tito versus Chuck,
Yeah.
Ultimate Fighter 1 with Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner. That's when it was like, it got hot, and there was a divide between the hardcore fans and what were known as the tough noobs, right? The fans who came in with the Ultimate Fighter and were wearing Affliction shirts everywhere.
Yeah, I was just about to drop that. Like, oh yeah, I know exactly what it is.
Yeah, so there was a big divide between the two groups of fans. So in my mind, I was going to Buffalo Wild Wings getting hammered, and I got a bunch of tattoos and stuff, but I wanted to cater to the more hardcore fans, because that's what I was. I was a hardcore fan. So, the first thing I did was at UFC 100. It was the first time I had a chance to do like something at the weigh-ins, and I put Just Bleed on my chest and UFC on my forehead. And the reason I did that is because, like, one of the early UFCs, this GIF is everywhere. If you look for it, there's a guy shirtless with that UFC on his forehead, and he's got Just Bleed written on his chest, and he's flexing, and he is fucking trashed, right? And this was like the hot meme, for MMA. This was like the guy that people would make jokes about. Like, there's an article written about the Just Bleed guy where they found out this motherfucker went to prison, and that's where he was for years. You know what I mean? This was like one of the hot topics. So I did it. And, all the hardcore fans lost it. I went on the internet, like I went on the forums, because that's what it was. It wasn't Twitter or any of that stuff. I went on the forums, and people were like, this is amazing, right? So then it became a thing. Like, what's he going to do next? So then I came out as Dan Severn at the weigh-in one time. And then the next night, I dressed up as Apollo Creed for the walkout. I dressed up as Conor McGregor for one of them, and that one obviously because Conor McGregor.
Dude, I love that. You had like a printout. You just taped it to yourself.
But I mean, it's like people go like, "Oh, this guy's like a clown, or he's a jokester."
Yeah, but you're
whatever.
winning. Yeah.
It's also calculated. You know what I mean? It's not just done. Like, there's some thought that goes into it, and some of it was, to get fans on my side. You know what I mean? Like, you can't always guarantee that you're gonna go out there and win. I have a certain control over the fight, but there's also a huge part of it that I don't have control over. And if I can give something like memorable to the fans outside of that, it becomes a lot easier to get booked again. It becomes a lot easier to make money. There's just so many benefits to it. So that was the process.
It's like completely different, like what you did compared to like, man. I mean, we've seen those clips of those dudes that are like they'll talk whatever shit they're gonna do, which is fine and all that, but then they would be like dancing in the ring. Next thing you know, they get a couple jabs in, and then they get knocked the fuck out, and then you're like, oh, dude, that guy's life is over. Like it's it. That's the end of it. Like, but what you did completely different. It's not like you can't put both of those together. Like you can't have a clip of you dressed as Apollo Creed and then immediately go to you getting knocked out in the same fight because nobody's gonna see. Well, I mean, nobody's gonna do the research to see, that was the same fight, that he got knocked out in or whatever. Like, they can't do it. And, like, to separate those two, because people aren't going to do that research because their mindset isn't like that. It's just that that's what you did, but I thought it was better than, like, anybody that talks shit on the mic and then doesn't do anything, and then they get in the ring and they dance or whatever, and then they get fucking killed.
The problem is that everybody talks shit. You know what I mean? Even if that's not part of their personality, they think that should be part of the personality. And it's like, you can talk shit. There's a way to do it. Like, you're forced to talk shit in pro wrestling. But that doesn't mean you have to sit, be run of the mill. I'm going to kick your ass. I'm a badass. I've got more heart than you. I've got more, I've got more balls than you. Like,
it's a whole different world,
Yeah, that sort of thing becomes old. You know what I mean? And like, I'll be honest, with the UFC, you do those little interviews where it's like you're in the dark room and it's like there's some weird ominous music like playing in the background, and you're going like, okay, tonight I'm gonna take this guy down and I'm gonna hit him with so many strikes that his anus bleeds. Like that sort of thing. They kind of force you to say that. Like I've been in the back with the guy doing the interview, and he goes, tell me about your training camp for this fight. I go, man, I was getting drunk 2 weeks ago. Like, this training camp sucked. I'm probably going to get beat up tonight. Yeah, I probably should have pulled out. And he goes, can't say that. What do you mean I can't say that? No, why don't you say this? Well, I'm like, why don't you just tell me exactly what to say?
Why don't you just tell me what you want me to do?
He goes, no, I can't do that. And I go, then what's going on here? Like, so I can't say what I want to say. You guys are going to tell me what you want. He goes, no, well, we're not going to tell you what to say, but you can't say that. It's like, fuck.
What? So, like,
kill me now.
Man. It's like, dude, this isn't like an email. Like, if you wrote that in an email, I could screenshot it and then post it. Like, you just tell me what you fucking want. Like,
show some personality. I mean, what do you guys want? You guys just want to be, I don't know.
I know, dude. I know exactly what you mean. It's like they know exactly what they want you to say, but they can't tell you because they don't want it to come off when you do it as scripted.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is, because not everybody has like the personality for it. So people are just fucking fighters, and that's it. Like that's all. That's all they are. It's like the same thing in wrestling. There are those dudes that can do a million different things. They could be the best wrestlers on the planet, but you put a mic in front of them, they have no idea how to handle it. They're like fucking shaking with that thing. But that's how it is.
Yeah.
So as we're breaking down here, because I'm so structured in my podcast and all this.
Down, right? You're having a nervous breakdown?
I'm trying to have an organized conversation with somebody, all right, that I'm supposed to act like I don't know in front of an audience. All right? Will you just play the fuck along, Tom? Jesus Christ.
You're doing good.
Yeah, thanks. This is my 5th episode, not bragging, I got a lot of compliments from like 3 or 4 people. Jesus Christ. So one question here for you. Who's your favorite opponent that you've ever had in wrestling? Obviously in wrestling. I feel like it doesn't fucking matter in MMA. It's like as long as you win.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whoever's the most popular that you beat.
Oh, man. Favorite.
Well, besides Rip Von Erich. I mean, you don't have to say it in front of me. I know it's my show. but I
Yeah.
don't want you to say anybody else.
I mean, like the easiest person for me to wrestle is probably Simon Gotch. But that's just because like he doesn't want to really call anything, and
I love it.
so that's it's like there's a very low stress level when you do that kind of match. So I always mention him whenever something like that comes up. But inevitably, I'm sure there's somebody that I don't remember. For some reason this year I wrestled Rocky Romero like 5 times. So and I've enjoyed it every single time. So for 2020, I guess he's been the favorite guy that I've wrestled. But it's different at different times.
Yeah,
At different
man,
points.
it's not always about like, oh, what was the one that got the most over or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely is how it is. Like, I mean, in every situation, it's always different. And I'll be honest, man. When you were talking about Simon Gotch, I love that dude. Like, I could listen to him. You know what pisses me off the most about him is that he hates Steve Austin, and he tells you the story, and everything he says about him. It's like I'm listening, and I go, I fucking love Stone Cold. And I'm just listening to him. I'm like, oh, what are you gonna say? Go ahead, fucking say it. And then he's making like valid points, and I go, dude, stop, just stop, like stop fucking everything up, But like that's him, man, and he's like so knowledgeable.
I remember him doing the same thing, and then I go, man, really? You don't like him that much? He goes, never helped me get booked either. I was like, something. He said something like that, and I was like, that's the best. Like what?
The first time I met him was when it was Marcus Crane and I in Orlando, and we had No Peace Underground, and we were there like
dying.
Huh?
I was dying when he said it. It was just so nonchalant, like it was a joke, but it was like, I mean, if he would have booked me or helped me get booked, maybe I would have.
That was like the first when I met him. Like, that was like the first thing. Like hey, how you doing? Like, yeah, I'm also a wrestler. I don't know if you ever seen me. I'm not a big deal or anything. And then we're just talking about random wrestling out of nowhere while he's standing. Just while we're at like outside drinking. This was like 2 years ago, and he just starts talking. And I go, like, I'm just starting to listen to him, and I go, and I'm starting to then be a little bit more argumentative about what his like opinion is, and then he just brought that up, and then it just was like, oh shit, I didn't think about it that way. Can you fuck yourself, like, please? Because that was it.
Back off.
Yeah, but I mean, he's like, I think he's one of the, since meeting him and, listening to him and then watching more of his stuff, I'm like, dude, he rules. Like, I was supposed to have a match with him, and I'm upset that, like Mania week didn't happen, so I didn't get to have it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, he's a good one to have, man. And the next one is, in the 8th season of The Ultimate Fighter, what was your fondest memory?
When it was over. When it's over, they take you to the Spearmint Rhino strip club here. Like an unlimited amount of Rhino bucks, which are equivalent to dollars. Like funded by Dana White.
Dude, you're one of those people that bought strip club dollars. Not that I know, what you're talking about, but you bought like the money at the strip club. You go, oh yeah, these dollars actually do this, and then next thing you know, you get it, and you go, yeah, we don't accept that.
I didn't buy them. I was coming off the Ultimate Fighter. I had like $300 in my bank account. Are you kidding me? Like, I didn't pay for.
I gotcha.
Dana White or like Zuffa or Lorenzo Fertitta or somebody paid for it, along with a bunch of alcohol. So,
all right, never mind. Yeah, this is different thing. Oh my god, I didn't think about that.
The best part, because you're in there for 6 weeks, no TV, no books, no music, no anything, nothing, no internet, no phones, no nothing.
Oh man,
6
fuck
weeks.
that.
6 weeks. It's 15 dudes and some production assistants who are mostly dudes, and then there's some girls, like 3 of them. But
Jesus Christ, that sounds like fucking agony, man. Like that. If there, we were talking earlier about like
wrestling locker room.
dude, we were talking earlier about like, oh yeah, you know that test in wrestling, that is a fucking test and a half because it doesn't end. Like you don't get to leave a show or leave a practice. Like you live there. Like that's your life.
You go home with the same dudes. Actually, you're with more dudes when you go home because you're with half of them at the practice. So, yeah.
Fuck. All right. Well, and then, all right, and so you've gotten you've wrestled some pretty awesome people. You know, you had banger matches as a tag in a tag match with Billy Gunn versus R-Truth that you told me about. And so on your bucket list, who is the one opponent that's feasible? Not like somebody you wish you could have that's dead. Like I mean, like somebody that like is possible that it could happen.
I know you can quit asking the question right now. It's Toru Yano. I want Yano for the King of Pro Wrestling title trophy, whatever the hell he's carrying around. Right?
All right. Well, shit. You know, I feel like anybody else just goes, they say it, or I ask that question, they like look at the ground, and they go, well, you know, I've always wanted to wrestle Sabu, and I was just like, cool.
No. Listen, Toru Yano, I don't know if he was in the Olympics or damn near close to the Olympics, but he was one of the two. He was either in the Olympics or was like an Olympic alternate in Japan for amateur wrestling. And the guy is probably the best comedy wrestler of all time now, and still one hell of an athlete. He just went and ran the Tokyo Marathon on no training, absolutely like no training years ago. So this guy, he's got like a gas tank and an imagination like no other. I mean, he like wins matches in 2 minutes. He taped Minoru Suzuki to the barricade and beat him.
That's fucking cool.
He's the most creative guy. He's the most creative guy in wrestling. And it's like, you want to shit on him because all he does is comedy matches, but he could out wrestle everybody if he had to. So,
dude, that's a good one, man. If what is it? Like, I mean, is this something that could happen anytime soon, or is like, what would you say? What could you do, or what would you say that to try to make this happen in 2021?
Do I have to call the Emperor of Japan and ask him to open up the borders, or what? I mean, that's the.
What are you gonna say to the Emperor of Japan right now? Because I bet he's listening. What would you say to him?
If he's listening,
provided that he also understands English as well.
Yeah. Well, there's no way I'm getting in the country if those two things are true. So we're pretty screwed. But I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think by 2024.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Hey, I'm in it for the long haul.
All right. Well, then speaking of, let me end with this. Somebody in the short term, who's somebody that you want to work, you want to wrestle, that you haven't yet, that you think you'd make magic with, or get fucked up, I don't know, like however you want to word it.
I'm trying to think. I haven't really wrestled a guy who's bigger than me in a while. Let me think. I don't know. I'm trying to think of somebody maybe I need to get revenge on. Who should I get revenge on?
Probably somebody that, dresses up like his dad. I mean, like what? He was like born born in Canada, but he wears like British, UK gear. I don't know. I mean, that's one dude. He wears like these weird, obnoxious chains. I forget his name. Yeah.
No, I don't want to fight. Are you kidding me?
Huh?
I don't want to fight him. Harry
Dude,
Smith.
he fucking rules. I love him, man.
I don't
You're
know.
cutting out.
Let me think of somebody who could. I'm pretty sure he's gone from MLW, so I don't think I'm going to wrestle.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, they both said that, so I'm pretty sure that means he's gone. Dude, how do I know? It's such a weird year. I mean, from the people that let me try to think of somebody on New Japan Strong. I mean, I don't know who the hell is even on that roster because I don't know who's in the country or not, so I don't know what's going to happen.
I know everything's like so like it's a hard one, but I mean,
I've wrestled almost all the people in MLW. I haven't wrestled Mil Muertes. That hasn't happened.
Didn't he just he's just debuting?
Yeah, today. Well, that's what I said.
That's why you did. Yeah, just today. No shit, you didn't wrestle him. Oh man, dude. I mean, I had to go back and I go, man. I was talking about it with somebody, and I didn't really think about it because it was like this just the second time at an MLW, and I'm just happy to be there. I'm like, hey, how are you? Like, I'll do whatever you want. Like,
Yeah.
And everything is just done so right. And I was like, dude, I fucking main evented at the arena. Like, that's where I trained my whole life. Never have anything like that happen. And I'm like, I didn't even think about that until like a couple of weeks down the line because we did so many tapings or whatever, like different weeks.
Yeah.
And
I love when like I'll do an interview and somebody asks me like, what was it like main eventing the ECW arena? And I'm like I don't think about it like that. Like when you're doing it, you should be caught up in the moment. You shouldn't be thinking like starstruck, like, whoa,
yeah.
Whoa, because it shows. You know what I mean? It takes you out of the element. So it's like way after the fact and like years later, I think back like, oh yeah, it was pretty damn cool. But when you're actually doing it, like
you don't even think you just want to do a good job, so you get to come back.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's cooler? Like main eventing the ECW arena like 50 times. That'd be cooler than doing it once. You know what I mean? So
yeah, because then you can talk about it. Like, oh yeah, which time? Like just that brag when you're at the bar.
Yeah.
When you're talking to some mindless person, you're just like, oh yeah, which time? I don't remember. Yeah, I remember the Undertaker. You're like, oh yeah, do you?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, so then, if you don't know the short term, what's your favorite place that you ever worked at? Or not promotion, but I mean arena or city.
Yeah, it was pretty cool wrestling the Coliseum in Tijuana, just because there's a ton of history there. There's the MLW joint show earlier this year, right before everything got shut down, and that was pretty cool. My favorite arena that I fought in, I mean, I won the fight, but it wasn't like it's not like Madison Square Garden or MGM Grand or like one of these big name places, but the Ericsson Globe Arena in Sweden was like one of the places, like a giant egg. It looks awesome from the outside. It's like a giant, I don't know how to explain it. It's like an half indoor dome. I don't know.
What's it called again?
Coolest places.
What's it called again in Sweden?
The Ericsson Globe.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I mean, like, dude, it doesn't. I mean, who cares? Like, if it's it's not the Garden that's like the most people in America knowing. But I mean, if it's
there was like 50,000 people there, but
it's fucking that rules.
Not like it just doesn't have the name of the Tokyo Dome or Wembley Stadium.
Who cares about that shit? It's about like, hey man, I got the best fucking reaction. It automatically made it the best. Like, what was it, dude? It was like this Chuck E. Cheese in Delaware. And let me tell you how awesome it was.
You love Delaware, huh?
Yeah, I know. Is that the second time I brought it up? Dude, the wine's going right through. Is this wine from Delaware?
Perhaps it is. Where's my
Columbia Valley. I don't know where that is. You know. Well, dude, I have to say, like, it was one of the most fun conversations I had, and like, I feel like anytime I fucking talk to you, anytime I like, shut up, hey, can you shut up for a second? Anytime I ever fucking like,
my best.
like when I messaged you when we were getting on this, and I was like, I swear to God, if your fucking phone dies, I'm gonna murder you. You're like, yeah, I doubt that, and I was like, well. Fair enough.
I mean, you could, if you said like I'll kick your ass and be like, all right, you got a shot. I mean, that could certainly happen.
You might get one hit in, you know, as I was waiting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna kill me. I hope. Fuck.
Dude, you don't know, man. Like, it's weird, dude. I'm one of those people when I'm driving on the highway and like somebody just inconveniences me for a second. Like they try to get over, they realize, oh shit, I didn't see him, and they get back in the lane, and I go, man, dude, I hope all your friends and all your family die. Like I really do. I hope all your enemies are the most successful people in your life. Like, you know, but then like if they were like somebody were to crash into me, I just go, dude, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of the situation. We'll all get together. Are you all right? You know, and I care the most, but it's like the minor inconveniences, you know?
I cut some dude today and he starts like fucking pointing at me and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, dude, I definitely like cut him off, but this was my one shot to get out of this like thing. You know what I mean? Like otherwise I was gonna be stuck there for 10 minutes. Like this guy needs to realize that, you know? And he starts like yelling at me and I'm like, I put both hands up and I'm like backing away and going super slow and he slows down to like make sure he's fucking yelling at me. And I'm like whatever. So I let him go in front of me and then he starts like trying to like stay in front of me and I'm like, fuck dude. Like, I don't want to fight. Like, I don't want to fight some old man over.
Yeah, dude. It's just the stubbornness.
Like,
you're like, dude, I get it.
Yes, like, I was in the wrong. I'm sorry. Like, what else do you want me to do? I'm willing to stop driving so you leave me alone. Just get out. Like, my bad.
And you're in Vegas, right? Like, are you in? So, first of all, like, I mean, let me be honest here. I was looking at places in Las Vegas, like the outskirts of everything, and I'm like, dude, I could totally live there. Like, and I read, you know, because I did my research because I'm a fucking journalist. All right.
When did you do this research?
You're from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So now you're in like the driest area on the planet.
Yeah.
So, like, tell me the difference, man. Like, because I was like looking at Vegas and I go, dude, I would fucking live there. Like,
yeah, it was cool until like March.
Well, yeah, all right.
And it's like one of the worst hit places, and all the people from California are moving in here. So
it's gonna start picking up value, man. If you own your home, like it'll benefit you later.
But it's also going to be more of a pain in the ass. So I'd go to South Dakota, but that's just me.
Jeez. But I was looking at it, I'm like, man, and I'm looking at houses there.
Yeah, it's not. It's relatively inexpensive for like a pretty big city, and it's growing. But I mean, honestly, like I said, like those are two of the biggest issues. Is, you know, everything's based around tourism for the most part here, and most of the entertainment venues are shut down. Right?
Yeah.
They have entertainment, so all the shows are shut down. Restaurants, right? That's the other big hit business. Well, all the restaurants and the casinos are, you know, taking hits, stuff like that. So really, it's like, I actually had somebody else message me on Instagram today saying, hey, I was thinking about moving to Vegas. And I was like, worst time right now. I was like, go to Florida. Because, I mean, if you're looking to move somewhere and work.
Dude, Florida doesn't give a fuck about this shit.
Independently wealthy, I mean, sure, then you can move here. But it's like, if you go to Florida, you know that place is going to be out of control forever. So you'll be able to work all you want.
Dude, I mean, I was looking at, and first of all, I was looking at like $1 million homes, like at first, and go, oh man, that place would be great. You know, I could, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I looking at? Like, you know, but then I'm just looking at like a lot of different, like, just rentals, just because, dude, I'm trying to get out. I'm in PA, and it is, it's like 30 degrees right now, and you don't even get it. All right, and it sucks, but you did like you knew what it was like in
Yeah,
Massachusetts. That's
yeah, I
why I
did.
brought it up because I
It
was
gets
like,
30 degrees here too. You might want to do some more research.
yeah, like 30 degrees at night, and then when you wake up, it's like dry and like 90.
Oh no, it's not. It's still 30. It's miserable.
Dude,
At least
I see your Instagram story of your turf fucking backyard doing like kettlebell swings, like
middle of the day, bro.
huh?
It's near the middle of the day.
Yeah, yeah. I'll watch your story or whatever thing that you're doing, and then I'll look it up, and then I'll like I'm gonna do that, and then I'll and then I'll post it.
All you gotta do is scroll through Instagram and just copy workouts. It's pretty much what
That's
I
all
do.
your shit. I know. I need to start doing more of them, but dude, I feel like holy shit, dude. I could keep talking to you about like anything and just bring it up, but because for the sake of my viewers, all 10 of them that have lasted.
7.
But on Spotify, like the ones that are really important that eventually, are going to give me more and more money that I don't have to lift a finger,
Hard
and then
work.
I'll buy a house right next door to you and I'll talk your off. I thank you, man, for doing it, coming in. I know that you were saying like next week was better, but thank you for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Who was on that? Tremont?
Yeah, I got Matt Tremont. Well, until he says he's not, I mean, it's
I'm
Matt.
0-1. I'm 0-1 against that guy. Screw him.
Yeah, whatever. Well, I mean, just ask him for a rematch. See what he does. Because he's retired, and I'm
Yeah.
man, the entire conversation next week, if we're on there with him, is going to be me egging him on to go, hey, dude, just put your boots back on. Just put your boots on. Just see what happens. What about those knee pads?
We get that win back.
Dude, he rules at H2O, and man, you gotta come down. Just come down, have a match.
I'll be there next week.
Yeah, all right, I'll see you there. I'll see you I'll pick you up at the airport. All right, man. Hey, take care. And I know what time is it right now? Like fucking
8:30.
7.
8:30.
All right, man. Hey, take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for having me on.
All right, brother.
I'll get on again.
Please.
Hit me up next week when you know shows.
I will. Yeah, dude, you'll be my guest next week. All right, man.
See ya.